Let us begin by recognizing the infinite abundance that already surrounds us, even before we see it with our physical eyes. October opens its golden gates, a month where harvest is not just of fields and fruits, but of the unseen seeds planted in thought, in word, and in the quiet expectancy of the heart. The atmosphere shifts, and the universe whispers large sums between our coming. This is not a promise of struggle. It is not a message of toil. It is the natural outpouring of divine substance, moving into form, manifesting itself in ways both expected and miraculous. When we hear large sums, let us not think only of coins or paper, but of every form of increase. Prosperity in finances, yes, but also in friendships, in opportunities, in health, in love. For the law of increase knows no limitation. It is impartial, it is exact, and it responds instantly to the words spoken with faith. October is the bridge between the green abundance of summer and the quiet rest of winter. And in this bridge, hidden treasures flow. Many look at the falling leaves and see only an ending, but the awakened soul knows the truth. The leaves fall to make way for richer soil, deeper roots, and a greater harvest. So it is with us. What may appear as loss is but preparation for larger sums that are on their way, moving in the unseen currents of divine order. When we say, large sums between are coming, we affirm that our good cannot be delayed, denied, or diminished. The supply is already in place. The unseen warehouse of spirit is bursting with all that is ours by right of consciousness. It comes through channels visible and invisible. It comes through ideas that flash like lightning, through doors that swing open, through people we did not expect, through circumstances arranged with mathematical precision. We need only to declare it, accept it, and prepare room to receive it. October asks us, are you ready? Have you cleared the clutter of doubt? Have you swept aside the shadows of fear? For where doubt resides, there is no room for the new sums that press to come forth. Large sums cannot be housed in a vessel too small, too filled with yesterday's worries. Let us expand, let us stretch the imagination. Let us dare to believe in sudden, glorious increase. The law is simple: what you prepare for, you draw in. Prepare for large sums and large sums appear. Speak it in the morning. October brings large sums between. Speak it at night. My good is flowing to me now in perfect ways. Speak it when appearances deny it, for appearances are but passing phantoms, and the truth is eternal substance. October is not a waiting room, it is a delivery room. Something is being born. Large sums are not far away, they are between the seen and unseen, between thought and manifestation, between word and world. They are already on the way, carried on currents of spirit, seeking the open heart, the expectant soul. The mind that dares to affirms. This is my month of increase, and nothing can stop it. October is a season of unseen harvest and divine increase. To understand this, one must first step away from the narrow view that harvest belongs only to farmers' fields, or the cycles of nature that yield fruit and grain. Harvest is a spiritual law, as constant as the rising sun, and it moves through every life, through every thought, and through every word spoken with belief. The month of October carries a vibration of completion and fulfillment. The air turns crisp, the days shorten, and the natural world reveals a deeper rhythms. What was once unseen beneath the soil now comes forth, ready to be gathered. Just as the earth answers the seasons, the human spirit answers divine timing. What is reaped is always born of what has been sown. Even if the sowing happened long ago, in moments that seemed small, in whispers of intention, in choices made almost unconsciously. When we call October a season of unseen harvest, it reminds us that the richest fruits do not always appear in obvious places. The unseen harvest is the unfolding of prayers long spoken, the arrival of answers that have traveled invisibly, the increase that begins in the invisible realms before stepping into the visible. Faith teaches us that the unseen is often the most real, for all form begins as formless substance. Just as a seed germinates beneath the soil where no eye can follow, so too do the seeds of thought, affirmations, and inner conviction sprout in silence, hidden from the surface view, until the perfect season brings them forth in manifestation. October announces that this is the season when unseen efforts, unseen prayers, unseen alignments, and unseen preparations reveal themselves in the tangible world. Divine increase operates under law, and law cannot be broken. The earth never fails to turn on its axis, the tides never fail to answer the pull of the moon, and so it is with the law of harvest. What one has sown in consciousness, whether of faith, expectancy, generosity, or praise, must return multiplied. October serves as the reminder that this law is at work, and the returns may not always come from the same place where the seeds were sown. A kind word offered in the past may return as unexpected financial blessing. A moment of forgiveness may come back as a new door opened in career or opportunity. The unseen harvest is not bound by the rules of human logic, for divine increase flows through infinite channels. October becomes the month where doors open, seemingly of their own accord, where long blocked paths are suddenly clear, and where the heart feels the vibration of more before the eyes can see it. When we speak of divine increase, it is not to say that October suddenly invents abundance, for abundance is eternal and ever-present. Divine increase is the movement of that eternal substance into visible, usable, practical form. It is not the creation of something new, but the unveiling of what was already stored, waiting for the right alignment to be revealed. Increase is the nature of spirit. Life multiplies, expands, and overflows, just as the harvest of one seed of corn becomes hundreds of kernels. The law of increase assures us that one right thought held in faith produces more than its measure. One right word spoken in conviction returns with multiplied force. One act of gratitude unlocks a river of more to be grateful for. October is the season when this multiplication quickens, when the unseen harvest ripens, and when divine increase presses to reveal itself. To live in harmony with this truth, one must cultivate expectancy. Expectancy is the open hand, the prepared storehouse, the vessel that knows without question that what was planted will come forth. Too often the unseen harvest is delayed, because the soil of thought is hardened with doubt, with fear, with the belief that supply is limited or controlled by circumstances. But October teaches that circumstances are not the cause, they are only the result. Divine increase does not ask permission from appearances. It flows through them, around them, and beyond them. The unseen harvest is never hindered by what the eyes can see, because it is rooted in a law greater than appearances. Consider how nature itself models this truth. The tree does not worry whether the season will bring its fruit. It stands rooted, it draws nourishment, it trusts the unseen processes within its branches and leaves. And when the time comes, the fruit appears effortlessly, without strain. In the same way, October calls each soul to trust the unseen processes already at work, to know that divine increase has been silently preparing, arranging, multiplying in ways beyond imagination. The fruit will appear because it must, not because one strives to make it appear, but because law guarantees the return of what has been sown. The unseen harvest also teaches patience. Seeds are never planted and harvested in the same breath. There is always a season of waiting, of unseen growth, of silent expansion beneath the surface. Many lose faith in this waiting season, believing that nothing is happening. Yet October reveals that much has been happening all along, hidden from the surface view, preparing for the sudden moment of manifestation. This suddenness is not random. It is the flowering of unseen labor, unseen faith, unseen order that has been building quietly, ready to reveal itself when the soil and the season align. Divine increase often arrives like a surprise, but it is never an accident. It is the natural outworking of the unseen harvest finally stepping into sight. October, then, is more than a month in the calendar. It is a symbol, a reminder that every cycle of life carries a season of manifestation, a season of gathering, a season when what was invisible becomes visible. To call it a season of unseen harvest and divine increase is to affirm that what has been prepared in silence is ready to show itself in substance. It is to recognize that abundance is not approaching from the outside, but is emerging from the inside, flowering into form, flowing through the channels of life as surely as the rivers flow to the sea. Divine increase is the natural birthright of every soul. And October whispers the eternal truth: what you have planted, believed, and affirmed in faith cannot remain unseen forever. It must come forth. For this is the season where the unseen harvest reveals its abundance and divine increase becomes visible in ways that exceed all expectation. Large sums signify abundance in every form, not only money. When one hears the phrase, large sums, the natural tendency of the human mind is to imagine stacks of coins, notes, or material wealth placed in the hands. Yet to limit the meaning of large sums to money alone is to misunderstand the vastness of abundance and the infinite ways in which it reveals itself. Large sums represent the overflowing of life itself, the multiplication of blessings, the increase of all things that bring joy, freedom, and fulfillment. To confine them to money is to confine spirit, and spirit cannot be confined. Large sums can be measures of time gifted back to you. When opportunities align so perfectly that what would have taken years is accomplished in days. They can be the sudden restoration of health, vitality flowing in the body where there was once fatigue or dis-ease. They can be the unexpected gift of friendship, connection, or love appearing just when the heart was ready to receive. Abundance manifests in infinite channels, and large sums describe the volume, the weight, the magnitude of the good that arrives. It is the reminder that good does not trickle in small amounts, it flows in rich, generous supply. Overwhelming the old belief in lack, overturning the thought of limitation, and proving that the universe deals not in pennies but in plenty. When one expects large sums, one must also prepare to see them in forms that stretch the imagination. The soul that prays for money may receive instead a door opening into a career that brings more than wealth. It brings joy, purpose, and fulfillment. The one who longs for financial supply may suddenly be released from debts, contracts, or obligations, finding freedom rather than mere accumulation. These two are large sums, for freedom is abundance, joy is abundance, and peace is abundance. The essence of large sums is not the number written on a check, but the overflowing presence of divine good that satisfies every need and enlarges every horizon. The universe does not measure abundance in currency alone, it measures it in wholeness. One can be rich in money yet poor in peace, and such a state is not abundance. But when large sums come as wholeness, they cover every area of life, leaving no corner of existence untouched. They bring balance where imbalance once ruled, harmony where conflict once lingered, beauty where barrenness once stood. The abundance of spirit is complete, and large sums are the expression of this completeness. They remind us that no part of life is meant to be starved or lacking, for spirit does not distribute wealth in fragments, but in fullness. To recognize large sums in every form, one must cultivate the vision to see beyond appearances. A new opportunity may seem small at first, but hidden within it is a large sum of growth, experience, and expansion. A simple introduction to another person may unfold into a network of support, friendship, and partnership that changes the course of a lifetime. The large sum is often concealed within the ordinary, waiting for the eye of faith to call it what it truly is. When we declare that large sums are coming, we declare that the universe is pouring into our lives not in drops but in waves, not in fractions but in fullness, not in scarcity but in unmeasured plenty. Large sums also remind us of the law of multiplication. In nature, a single seed does not return a single seed. It returns a harvest multiplied many times over. Likewise, every right thought, every act of kindness, every affirmation of truth is a seed planted in consciousness that must return in multiplied form. The multiplication is the large sum, the divine mathematics that expands beyond human calculation. When money is given, it returns as more than money. It may return as protection, as health, as opportunity. When time is given, it returns as ease, as alignment, as doors that open at the perfect moment. The law of multiplication ensures that nothing given in faith ever returns in the same measure. It comes back pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Abundance in every form means that large sums often arrive in ways that cannot be counted or carried in the hand, but must be felt in the heart. The peace that settles after a season of turmoil is a large sum. The sudden clarity of mind that reveals the next step is a large sum. The presence of beauty, sunlight streaming through leaves, a melody that awakens joy, the laughter of a loved one. These too are sums of abundance, for they enrich the soul and lift the spirit. The universe is always giving in large sums, but it is the consciousness of the receiver that determines whether the gift is recognized or overlooked. To affirm that large sums are not only money is to free oneself from the narrow bondage of material thinking. Money is but one channel, one form, one symbol of supply. True abundance is source itself, and source is infinite. Large sums in health can restore years of life. Large sums in creativity can birth inventions, art, and solutions that change the course of communities. Large sums in wisdom can solve problems that money could never touch. To recognize these is to walk in the awareness that divine increase is unlimited in expression. Large sums also reveal the generosity of the universe. If life were stingy, it would give only enough to scrape by, but life overflows. Rivers do not trickle with a drop. They surge with waters that carve valleys and nourish fields. Trees do not produce a single leaf, they grow forests dense with shade and beauty. Stars do not appear one by one, they flood the sky in uncountable clusters. Everywhere in creation the pattern is clear: large sums, multiplied, overflowing. This is the pattern that applies to every soul, for humanity is not separate from creation but part of it. To live expecting only small measures is to deny the pattern written in the very fabric of existence. Large sums signify a change in consciousness. The mind that once believed in smallness begins to believe in expansion. The heart that once expected only enough begins to expect overflow. The life that once counted only money as wealth begins to see wealth in health, in joy, in freedom, in opportunity. This change in vision opens the door wider, for the universe always answers the level of expectancy. To expect little is to prepare only for little. But to expect large sums in every form is to align with the divine law of increase that has no limit. To walk in the awareness of large sums is to walk with gratitude before the evidence arrives. Gratitude multiplies what is present and calls forth what is unseen. To give thanks for health, even in the smallest measure, is to invite the large sum of vitality. To give thanks for love, even in a single act of kindness, is to invite the large sum of overflowing relationships. Gratitude recognizes abundance in seed form, and thereby prepares for its harvest in multiplied form. Large sums are not a matter of chance. They are the natural outworking of gratitude, faith, and the recognition of Spirit's generosity. Thus, when one affirms that large sums signify abundance in every form, it is an affirmation of freedom, of wholeness, of limitless possibility. It is a declaration that life does not deal in fragments but in fullness, not in scarcity but in supply, not in confinement but in expansion. Large sums are the natural language of spirit, and they express themselves in health, in peace, in joy, in love, in opportunity, in creativity, and yes, in financial provision, but never in money alone. They come in the measure of abundance itself, and abundance has no boundaries, no limits, no lack. What appears as loss is preparation for greater gain. To the surface mind, loss often seems final, as though something valuable has been taken away, leaving behind emptiness or lack. Yet in the higher order of life, loss is rarely loss at all. It is transition, movement, and rearrangement, clearing away what no longer serves in order to make space for what is greater. When leaves fall from the trees in autumn, one might call it loss, but it is not so. The falling leaves enrich the soil, nourish the roots, and prepare the tree for the strength it will need in the coming spring. The tree is not diminished, it is being readied. In the same way, what appears as loss in human experience is often the invisible hand of divine order making room for increase, ensuring that the greater harvest can find its place. The principle behind this truth is simple: there is no vacuum in spirit. Where something is removed, something else must take its place. If one has lost a position, an opportunity, or a possession, it is because that space is needed for something more fitting, more expansive, more aligned with the soul's growth. The universe never subtracts without multiplying, never diminishes without preparing to restore in greater measure. The apparent loss is a signpost, signaling that one chapter is closing so that another can begin. To cling desperately to what has been removed is to resist the law of circulation. But to release it in trust is to open the hands wide for the greater gift that is already prepared. Many people misinterpret loss as punishment or misfortune, but in truth, it is often the greatest blessing concealed in disguise. A relationship may dissolve, and in the pain of its departure one may feel abandoned or betrayed. Yet that very ending creates space for a deeper love, a truer partnership, or the freedom needed for self-discovery. A career may collapse, a job may be taken away. And though the immediate reaction is fear of scarcity, the space opened becomes the soil for new opportunities, new paths, and creative ventures that would never have emerged without the loss of the old. In every case, what appears as loss is but the pruning of the vine, ensuring that the fruit to come will be richer, sweeter, and more abundant. The idea of preparation is vital, for preparation is the unseen foundation of manifestation. If one desires to receive large sums, greater blessings, or new opportunities, there must be room for them to land. A cup already filled cannot receive more until it is emptied. Loss, then, becomes a divine emptying. It is the universe saying, "Prepare, for something greater is ready to flow." The human heart may grieve the emptying, for it is natural to feel the sting of release, but faith looks beyond appearances and understands that nothing truly good is ever taken away. What departs is always the shadow of what is meant to come, the lesser form that must step aside so the greater form can take its place. Consider the soil that must be broken before the seed can grow. To the soil, the plow feels like destruction, cutting deep furrows and turning everything upside down. Yet without that disruption, the seed could never be planted, and without planting, there could never be harvest. So it is with loss. It may feel like something has been torn open, but in truth, it is the furrow that makes space for new life. The pain of the process is but the preparation for the joy of increase. The field is not ruined by the plow, it is made fertile. The life is not ruined by loss, it is made ready. To those who walk by sight alone, loss appears cruel. But to those who walk by faith, loss is recognized as part of a higher order. Faith knows that the divine plan is never to diminish, but always to enlarge, never to wound, but always to heal, never to strip away without also clothing in greater abundance. When one door closes, another must open, and often the door that shuts is the very one that has kept the soul from stepping into its true inheritance. The closed door is not an ending, but a redirection, steering the traveler to the greater path that was waiting all along. It is also important to see that loss teaches detachment. When one clings too tightly to possessions, people, or circumstances, the flow of life becomes blocked. Loss gently or forcefully reminds the soul that nothing in form is permanent, and that true security rests not in things but in source. By loosening attachment to the outer, the inner connection with divine supply grows stronger, and through that connection the greater gain arrives. What appeared to be loss has in truth removed the false foundation, so that a solid one can be laid. This is why so many can look back upon seasons of loss and declare that those very moments were the beginning of their greatest growth. Loss also reveals hidden strength. In the absence of the familiar, one discovers resilience, creativity, and capacity that were dormant before. The void left by what has gone calls forth inner resources that might otherwise have remained unused. What appears as loss becomes the crucible in which new strength is forged, and that strength itself becomes a form of gain greater than what was lost. To lose comfort is to gain courage, to lose certainty is to gain faith, to lose dependence is to gain freedom. The gain is greater because it touches the soul and not merely the surface. In the cycles of nature, loss is always temporary, always purposeful. The caterpillar dissolves into nothingness within its cocoon, a total loss of form, and yet out of that loss comes the butterfly, radiant and free. The seed loses its shape, bursts open, and disappears into the soil, yet out of that breaking comes the tree. In the same way, human life mirrors these cycles. Loss may feel like dissolution, like something has ended beyond repair. But within the process is hidden the transformation, the emergence of something more beautiful, more expansive, more aligned with the soul's purpose. To understand that what appears as loss is preparation for greater gain is to walk in peace even amid endings. It is to trust that the universe is always working toward increase, always moving toward expansion, always preparing something richer than what was before. It is to see endings not as death but as transitions, not as destruction but as rearrangement, not as punishment but as the careful clearing of ground. The greater gain is already in motion the moment the loss appears, and the soul that holds faith will one day see that nothing was ever truly lost, only transformed into something far greater. Faith and expectancy clear the way for manifestation. When the mind is heavy with doubt, fear, or the memory of past disappointments, it creates a wall that blocks the natural flow of supply. Yet when faith is present, that wall dissolves. Faith is the unseen assurance that good is already here, moving toward expression, ready to appear in tangible form. Expectancy is the outstretched hand, the open vessel prepared to receive. Together, faith and expectancy create the clear channel through which manifestation flows. For spirit cannot pour abundance into a heart that is closed with disbelief, but it rushes eagerly into the one that believes without hesitation. Faith is more than passive belief, it is active certainty, a deep inner knowing that refuses to be shaken by appearances. Appearances may show lack, emptiness, or delay, but faith declares that these are temporary shadows and not the truth of reality. Faith looks beyond the surface, beyond the evidence of the senses, and anchors itself in the eternal law of abundance. It holds fast to the conviction that good is already present, even if unseen, and that every need is already supplied in the invisible before it is visible. In this way, faith keeps the channel clear, preventing fear or despair from obstructing the flow of manifestation. Expectancy is the companion of faith, for to believe without expecting is to hold a truth without preparing for its arrival. Expectancy sets the stage, makes the room ready, creates the opening through which good can appear. It is the attitude of one who does not wonder if supply will come but knows it is coming, and prepares joyfully to receive it. Expectancy is the mother preparing the nursery before the child arrives, not questioning whether the birth will happen, but acting in confident assurance that it is already underway. Expectancy is the farmer clearing barns before harvest, not asking whether the crops will grow, but knowing they are already ripening in the field. This readiness clears the way for manifestation, because the universe always fills the place that is prepared for it. Faith without expectancy may affirm truth but fail to receive it, for there is no opening created. Expectancy without faith may prepare, but without inner conviction the preparation will collapse under doubt. When both are joined, the path is made smooth, the way is opened, and manifestation becomes inevitable. Faith says, "It is so," and expectancy says, "I am ready for it now." Together, they align thought, word, and action with the divine law of supply, and the unseen becomes seen. The act of expectancy changes the atmosphere of the mind. A person expecting increase carries a lightness, a confidence, a readiness that radiates. This inner state draws conditions, people, and opportunities into alignment, for the universe responds to the energy one projects. When expectancy is alive, every step feels purposeful. Every encounter holds possibility, and every day carries the sense of something about to unfold. This vibration itself is magnetic, attracting manifestation in ways the doubting mind could never calculate. Faith and expectancy also remove the clutter of fear. Fear imagines obstacles, delays, and disappointments, creating a clouded vision that prevents one from recognizing opportunities, even when they appear. Expectancy clears that cloud, allowing the eyes to see with clarity, to recognize open doors, to step into alignment with confidence. Faith ensures that even when the door looks closed, it is not mistaken for finality, for faith knows that doors open by law, not by chance. Thus, faith keeps hope alive, Expectancy keeps the vessel open, and manifestation flows naturally as the next step in divine order. To understand how faith clears the way, one must see that doubt is a form of resistance. It is as though one hand is reaching out to receive, while the other pushes the gift away. This divided state blocks manifestation. But when faith fills the whole being, there is no division, no resistance, only openness. This openness allows supply to move swiftly, unhindered by inner conflict. Expectancy strengthens this openness by preparing outwardly for what is believed inwardly. For example, the one expecting opportunity polishes their skills, organizes their affairs, and makes space in their schedule, because they know the opening will come. The one expecting financial increase clears debts, sets intentions for its use, and makes plans, not out of wishful thinking but out of certainty. These preparations are signals to the universe that the way is clear and the vessel is ready. Faith and expectancy also work by aligning one's words with one's belief. Words of complaint, worry, or fear contradict the silent affirmation of faith and block the channel. But words of confidence, gratitude, and anticipation magnify the inner conviction and strengthen expectancy. To say daily, "I am ready for the good that belongs to me," is not empty repetition, it is the conscious shaping of thought into form, the clearing away of mental clutter that would otherwise create delay. The spoken word charged with faith carries power, for it declares into the unseen and calls forth the seen. Manifestation is never about forcing or striving, it is about allowing. Faith and expectancy create this allowance. They do not push or demand but open and invite. The anxious mind tries to control how supply should come, through whom, or in what form. But faith surrenders the how and holds only to the certainty that it will come in perfect ways. Expectancy does not dictate the channel, it simply keeps the vessel open for any channel to pour through. This openness ensures that manifestation can appear in ways far beyond the limited plans of the human mind. In every story of increase, faith and expectancy are present. The patient who recovers does so not only by medicine, but by faith in health and expectancy of healing. The entrepreneur who succeeds does so not only by strategy, but by faith in their vision and expectancy of opportunity. The artist who creates does so not only by skill, but by faith in inspiration and expectancy of expression. These unseen forces shape the visible outcome, for manifestation is always born in consciousness before it appears in form. To live with faith and expectancy is to walk daily in the energy of preparation. It is to rise in the morning with the inner declaration that good is on its way, and to carry oneself through the day with the awareness that manifestation may appear at any moment. It is to act as though the harvest is already ripe, as though the door is already swinging open, as though the gift is already in hand. This state of being magnetizes supply, for the universe delights in filling the vessel that is empty yet ready, in answering the heart that believes yet waits in joyful expectation. Faith and expectancy are the invisible architects of manifestation. They shape the unseen, clear the space, prepare the ground, and open the channels. Without them, the flow of good is hindered, delayed, or overlooked. With them, the flow is natural, immediate, and abundant, because spirit rushes eagerly into every prepared space. The clearer the faith, the stronger the expectancy, the swifter the manifestation. To hold them both is to live not in doubt or delay, but in readiness, in trust, and in the certainty that what is unseen is already moving into form. October is not a waiting room, but a delivery room. Too often people move through seasons of their lives imagining themselves to be in suspension, believing they are held in some undefined pause, where nothing is happening, nothing is moving, and nothing is being given. They tell themselves they must wait, that their desires are delayed, that manifestation is distant. Yet October does not carry the vibration of postponement. October is not the month of delay, it is the month of birth, where what has been gestating in the unseen finally presses forward into visibility. Just as the earth yields its harvest in this season, so too does the unseen work of spirit yield visible outcomes. It is not a time of merely waiting, it is a time of receiving, of delivering. of welcoming into form what has already been prepared in the invisible. A waiting room suggests stillness without progress, an indefinite holding space where time drags without change. But a delivery room is filled with expectancy, urgency, and the certainty that something new is arriving. In a delivery room, no one questions whether the birth will happen. They know it is happening, and the atmosphere is charged with preparation and anticipation. This is the quality of October. The unseen harvest has already been conceived, nurtured, and grown, and now it comes forth. What was once invisible becomes visible. What was once promised becomes present. What was once hoped for becomes tangible reality. The energy is not of passive waiting but of active emergence, the joyful knowing that the time of delivery has arrived. October holds within it the rhythm of culmination. The seeds planted in prior seasons, whether seeds of thought, word, or action, have been silently growing beneath the surface. To the outward eye, it may have appeared that nothing was happening. The soil seemed quiet, the fields empty, the prayers unanswered. Yet beneath the still surface, life was moving, roots were spreading, and increase was preparing itself in silence. October announces that the silent growth is over, and now the time has come to bring forth the fruit. It is the season where the invisible process reaches its appointed hour, and what once seemed like waiting is revealed as preparation. In a delivery room, there is effort, there is intensity, but there is no doubt about the outcome. The entire focus is on welcoming the new life that is emerging. This same intensity belongs to October. It is the month when spiritual labor produces visible fruit, when the dreams carried in the womb of consciousness find expression in form. The delays of the past are not denials, they were simply gestation, the necessary season for growth. October is the moment when gestation ends and manifestation begins. It is not an empty hallway but the doorway of arrival. To see October in this way shifts the entire perspective of the soul. Instead of saying, "I am waiting," one begins to say, "I am receiving." Instead of sighing with delay, one breathes with expectancy. The posture of the heart changes from passivity to readiness, from resignation to celebration. Just as a mother prepares for the child long before the birth, setting aside clothing, arranging space, and making plans, so too must the soul prepare for its harvest in October. For in a delivery room, the question is never if, but always when, and the when is now. This perspective also teaches that apparent endings are not closures but births. The falling leaves of October do not signify death. They signify the release that makes way for new life. The ending of one chapter is the birth of another. The closing of one door is the delivery of a new path. The soul that mistakes these shifts as endings falls into despair, but the soul that recognizes them as birth steps into joy. October, as a delivery room, reminds us that every seeming loss, every closing, every transition is in truth the prelude to manifestation. Nothing is being taken away, everything is being delivered in a higher, richer, fuller form. In a delivery room, timing is sacred. One cannot rush the birth, nor can one halt it once it has begun. The process unfolds in divine order, and the new life emerges at the precise moment it is ready. October operates under the same law. The blessings arriving in this season come not too early, not too late, but exactly on time. Though the mind may have longed for them sooner, they arrive at the perfect moment. When the vessel is ready to receive, when the soil is fertile, when the environment can support growth. Faith trusts this timing. Expectancy prepares for it, and together they welcome the manifestation that has been ordained. October is also a reminder that manifestation is not distant, it is immediate. The harvest does not belong to some far-off season, it belongs here and now. The prayers that were spoken, the affirmations declared, the visions held, have been forming in the unseen, and are ready to step into sight. Just as a delivery room brings forth life into the visible world, so too does this season bring forth the invisible good into visible form. It is the transition point between spirit and matter, between promise and fulfillment, between hope and reality. There is urgency in a delivery room, but it is not anxiety. It is the urgency of readiness. the acknowledgement that the time has come, that no further delay is necessary. October carries this urgency. It whispers to the soul that the time of waiting is over, that the time of delivery has begun. It calls for preparation, for clearing space, for making room in consciousness and in life for what is arriving. Just as a mother makes space in her arms for the newborn, so too must the soul make space in thought and environment for the blessings now pressing to appear. The metaphor of October as a delivery room also teaches the necessity of cooperation. In birth, one works with the process, not against it. Resistance only increases struggle, but surrender and cooperation bring the flow of life into manifestation. In the same way, October asks for surrender to divine order. It asks the soul to release control, to cease clinging to old patterns, and to allow the natural process of manifestation to unfold. The greater good is already in motion, and cooperation clears the way for its swift appearance. To live October as a delivery room is to walk in constant expectation of newness. Each day carries the potential of birth, each moment the possibility of arrival. It is to hold the awareness that something is always being delivered, that manifestation is not a distant event, but an ongoing unfolding. It is to know that the unseen work of spirit is always pressing into visibility, and October is the symbol of that emergence, the reminder that life is not about indefinite waiting, but about continual receiving. In this way, October teaches the eternal truth that life is not static. Nothing is held in suspension forever. What has been planted must grow. What has been nourished must bloom. What has been conceived must be born. The waiting room is an illusion created by doubt and fear, but the delivery room is the reality of divine law. October reveals this reality, showing that manifestation is already in motion, that birth is inevitable, that delivery is at hand.